Hello, teacher. This is our presentation for the group reflection for the final task in TREPE. The members of the group are Lukas, Cataldo, Tomás Lolas, and Rodrigo Hess. First, we will give the little brief explanation about the introduction. So today we will present to you the contents that we consider relevant from our TREPE course and make connection with our practice in order to establish critical reflection towards our future role as teachers. So first, we will talk about the school culture. Is it mandatory, though, to explain what school culture means? And for this, we will use the definition given by Peterson in the year 2009. So he said, the school culture consists primarily of the underlying norms, values, and beliefs that teachers and administrators hold about teaching and learning. Most of the time, we try to educate in order to contribute changes in the world and society as well. Therefore, education is variable and can change depending on the context. In our eLab centers, we discovered that due to the variation of the professional profiles among teachers, there was the possibility of teachers not feeling identified with the school expectations. And some teachers don't even possess knowledge about what the school expects from them and what is expected from the school to give the society. This is in a strict relationship with the mission and vision, and how many professionals within the educational area do not possess knowledge about these these important messages given to the parents and people who are connected with the educational context. Also, in regards of the culture, we were able to identify and understand a positive culture and a toxic culture. And through different situations, we realized that even little details on how you approach situation within the classroom can have a huge impact on how you can have a relationship with the students, but also how this can affect your preparation for the classes, your relationship with other professionals, such as teachers, parents, and similar contexts. In one instance, I personally saw a teacher with no disposition to help students because she considered and believed that the students were lazy and didn't have any intention to participate within the classroom. I saw the total opposite regarding the students' behavior and communication, but actually she didn't want to change her misconception about them. According to Peterson as well, one feature of a toxic culture is to blame the students upon teachers' mistakes and the malpractice regarding the lack of progress.
Yeah, hello Diego, here's Lucas. And now it's time to talk a little bit about the role of education in society. And it's important to say that nowadays in our culture, education has been used commercially, where institutions deliver personal training service to the people. Which will a professional profile and enrich the curriculum. Of course, all of us know that. Granting a degree of evaluation in the world. To illustrate this perception toward education these days, it has become customary that teaching educational hours in school programs are heated to principal subjects such as math, language, biology, etc. These finally represent the principal three frames of education which downright bisects the line of success in contrast with the artistic profession. Thus flare up a conception of education that fits in the conception of banking education in Freire's language. Freire says that the knowledge is a gift bestowed to those who consider themselves knowledgeable upon those who consider knowing nothing. Then education becomes the golden ticket to social issues for those who are vulnerable for schooling.
Yes. Now, regarding inclusive education, first of all, we understand inclusive education in words of prosperity by mixing the rights of children and of people with disability or disabled people, as the state have to guarantee that every boy or girl, without discrimination, have to be benefited with a set of measures that protect and support them academically, in order to develop their personalities, their abilities, their talents, uh, everything in a comfortable place, with happiness, love, and comprehension in equality of conditions. Unfortunately, in Chile, most of special schools are located in big cities such as Santiago, uh, and them teachers usually does not set high expectations about the students' academic success. They tend to provide less personal time to assisted students, and the curriculum is not as extensive as the common one. Or holistic as well, as the general curricula. So public schools cannot always ensure that the special students will stay permanently, because there might not be neither specialized teachers nor infrastructural resources, in that the students are adapted to their needs. uh, so regardless of the previous information, actually, I could experience that subsidized schools can become a place in which special students can naturally relate with their peers without being discriminated against or put aside from the common study plans.
Okay, in regards of the personal assumptions, experience, and beliefs, I will go first, saying that I used to think that education was only in a strict, direct relationship with the transmission of knowledge, and this knowledge was academic content. Prior to my in-depth knowledge in connection with my pedagogical formation during my university years so far, I had experienced a contrast compared to my childhood and teenage years, where only I received formation, academic formation, and also I wouldn't say my exposure in regards of this topic was the most beneficial, I will say. In contrary, during my practice, I have learned and I have seen still this kind of behavior and interaction coming from certain teachers. And I realized the impact that this kind of toxic behavior has in the school climate. This affects not only the students' formation and future too, but also creates a toxic environment, as Peterson claims, in which the case is the focus not only delivering, I mean, the focus of this the kind of teachers is delivering only academic content, but there is no worry about social education, critical formation, and attention to emotional development, which is really important so far in these times. I saw the impact that this kind of behavior can have during my practice, and I have to say, to make a more evolved kind of pedagogy requires formation, perseverance, and correct management of factors such as time, which is really important. But it's rewarding seeing how students' behavior, interaction, and awareness flourish with the right setting.
Well, regarding my personal assumptions, I can say that before the TREPE and ELAB courses, I was more or less ignorant about the inner world that teachers share inside the teachers' room, and how they relate among themselves and with the rest of people beyond the students, such as janitors, the principal, administrators, and the stakeholders. Well, in my experience during high school, I had the belief that teachers were the top of this pinnacle of the pyramid, and that they will descend from their position to teach students, but I was wrong. Actually, because I could learn that there is a clear organization suggested and modeled by the principal and the academic sub-directors. Because during the practicum, I could witness tangible evidence of the concept, which is called organizational culture, because there was a clear hierarchy within teachers and administrators who reproduced a certain school culture promoted by the principal. In this case, they were shared common values, norms of coexistence, and model patterns of behavior, such as attending to meetings, give proper feedback to colleagues, which I could never see during my school academic formation.
Yeah, personally speaking, the first thing I think it's mandatory to mention regarding my assumption on education from my perspective before the TREPE course is the following. Due to my school period, most of the time I tended to thought the educational process as something particular determinant. And with this, I mean that the way in which the programs that I received every year for each subject were so narrow, in the sense that the inquired knowledge as a product of the information had a very square structure for me. Everything has to do with achieving high reputation and the standardized test, and that was very boring. Therefore, there was an isolation upon what I consider is an outdated and modern kind of education, viewing from a sphere of modern education in which critical social demands and current issues were somewhat neglected or were taken very little into account by particular teachers around the school. Then what I got out from my experiences in co-op with my mates this semester was that those modalities are getting outdated. They are old-fashioned. So illustrate, the hidden curriculum has opened for me the consciousness that there exists more than that square dimension of education. And this new one established learning skills such as critical thinking, in which topics of global importance are now in the forefront of the teacher urgencies. Because it's through the hidden curriculum that students and teachers acknowledge those issues of global importance, such as gender, environment, economics, politics, and citizenships, among others too.
So, in conclusion, we consider it important to mention that the connection with both TREPE and ILAB consider courses enrich our knowledge regarding how schools operate, since the content and the staging of these contents within the establishment allow us to materialize newer perspectives on education. Now, obviously, understanding the teacher's point of view. Also, we believe that this had an essential impact on the holistic development of our teaching profile, given that we were able to witness various dimensions of education, starting from the themes such as school culture within the establishments, the role of education in the society, and inclusive education as well.
By studying them and attending to the ILAB Center, we could see the impact that education has in our students' lives. Since we could talk to them and know how their social, political, and economic background are enriched and constantly changed by going to school and interacting with their peers, whose result in something that depends on the place where the institution is inserted and the culture that the establishment and parents promote at home too.
Non-curricular knowledge, actually, such as critical thinking, gives the tools to do self-assessment, to become aware of our metacognitive processes, and lets us think on the impact of our actions within the overall educational community. If we teach students to think critically, we will make them able to establish relations between not just what they live on a daily basis outside the school, but in relation with the content that they study. As a consequence of that, we can take the students' visions on a higher level, in that we can help them to discover that they can learn from themselves and decide on what they want and need to know, actually, according to the setting that they are living in and their own necessities. And this was our presentation, Teacher Diego. We hope you like it.